And this is why I believe prioritizing Islamic goals this year will be the success to everything else. Like, not just Islamically, but I'm talking about financially, I'm talking about physically, literally everything that I've set this year as a goal. I know that focusing on and prioritizing Islamic goals will be the key to the successes of all of them. So I was recently watching a podcast by the three Muslims and also Satoru Shooter, and I literally believe like these guys, like, this is one of the best podcasts I've ever watched in my life. Like, you guys need to watch this. This podcast is fire, right? This podcast is absolutely amazing. And I was watching this podcast and I remember Jewel, the sartorial shooter, said something that completely raised my eyebrows. And I still remember this wisdom to this day. He talked about how if a man really focused on religion and his religious acts and worshipping, he becomes the best version of himself and he becomes successful at everything else, not just religion, but every single other goal, financially, fitness, anything else, any personal goals or anything else. You become more successful at it by focusing on your deen. And I was so fascinated. I was like, how? Right? I mean, if you're focusing on Islam, a lot of people may argue that you may not have focus on, for example, doing an extra 30 minutes of outreach or something, because I realized that, normally when we are on self-improvement, we focus on the self-improvement kind of aspects, for example, journaling or meditating, stuff like that, right? We really focus on those aspects and we keep the Islamic things to a low. Astaghfirullah. I decided this year I'm going to be turning it around, switching it around, and making sure I focus more on Islamic acts this year instead of like doing the regular meditating, journaling. Although those are very, very good and I recommend them, Islam is there for a reason, and truly Islam has 20 million times the better impact. So I wanted to go over three Islamic practices that I believe may outweigh what I'm doing right now, right? Which is like journaling, which is, going outside, get some sun. Now, I don't really do this as often as I used to. At the end of the day, I still do them, and I still did them a lot more back then. So I'm going to be comparing them. I'm going to be starting new habits and replacing the other ones that are not giving me that much of value compared to the new one. So I'm going to be going over the three principles, which is Salah beats meditation, Quran and Hadith books beat self-improvement books, and following and really taking advantage of the Sunnah of gender roles in Islam. How a man should act, how Muslim brotherhood is supposed to be, and how a man is supposed to take care of their woman. We see that from the self-improvement thing, right? Which is, of course, taking care of your woman, taking care of your kids, taking care of your family. But what did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam really do? And how did he take care of his parents? Because that is always going to be better than just following the self-improvement books. A disclaimer for this video is that I'm not downplaying any self-improvement people or any self-improvement books. I actually have a lot of self-improvement books on my own. So I have self-improvement books myself. I have The Way of the Superior Man. I have meditation. I have these books, and although they're pretty, great books and they have good value in them, we have a better value. We have something that's been written for hundreds and hundreds of years, and we have something that's been proven to be the truth, whether you agree with it or not. So I'd rather take it from that. I'd rather take masculine advice from someone who's actually perfect, who's sinless, like our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So as Muslims, I'm sure there's other Muslim brothers out there who are getting into self-improvement and they're getting into watching a lot of YouTubers like Hamza, Iman Gaji, Andrew Tate, and also a lot more other people, and they always talk about meditating and how meditating makes you feel present. It is a cure for breaking habits and stuff like that. And I'm not downplaying meditation. I think meditation is actually very, very good, and I've done it for a while, and it's great. Right? Meditation is awesome, and it actually does make you feel good. I'm not going to deny that, but there is a better alternative for that, which is Salah. Right? Salah, and it's been scientifically proven. And I was watching the podcast, and I remember Anhel, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him, he was talking about the scientific story about someone doing salah with pure khushu compared to him doing salah with no khushu. And with the salah with the khushu, like everything was straight, like it was awesome, like his focus, everything, his heart was a complete rest, everything. Salah has been scientifically proven to completely beat meditation. I mean, meditation is great. Salah, you can do, you can worship God, which makes you triple times more more happier and more grounded. But you can also make sure that you have that khushu, so you don't have random thoughts and shaitan trying to come in and just destroying the thoughts. Right? That's something that I really want to focus on, which is focus on khushu with salah. That's one of my main things. And I think the system or the key with that is to make sure that I'm going to the masjid every day, or I'm going to the masjid as much as possible more this year, because I'll be honest, last year I didn't really go to the masjid as much. Going to the masjid is so much better. You're at this, you're at the house of Allah, like you're there, you will be so much more present following the imam of the masjid, right? And you're at this, and the thing is, environment matters a lot, right? Like for example, if you're trying to have khushu in a household that is screaming, like your little brother's screaming, little sister's screaming, like you're just not gonna have khushu as much as if you were in the masjid where everyone's literally praying beside you. You feel that brotherhood and everything just aligns, right? Quran and hadith books beat self-improvement books. And this is quite logical, especially for us Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was perfect, right? He was sinless. He was the role model for us. He was once very poor. He was at once had money, right? He was a businessman, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He took care of his family, took care of his community, was literally the leader of the Sahaba and all the Muslims at the time, and even now he is the most influential leader of all time. He is our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he is the last and mightiest Prophet of Allah. There's no doubt to that. So if you were to take advice from someone, life advice from someone who's experienced both highs and the lows, someone who's been kicked out of his own community, someone who took over and conquered Medina to the point where he was the leader of Medina, why would you not take advice from him? I'm sure there's other great YouTubers out there that tell you, or there's other self-improvement books out there that tell you about masculine energy as like the way of the superior man. With that, I need to look at how the Prophet Muhammad dealt with his wives, right? Aisha radiallahu an, or in Khadija radiallahu an, and how he really dealt with them, right? Like how he dealt with them, how he acted with them, how he, how he helped around the house, like stuff like that. He is the true masculine leader. He led wars, right? He won wars. He was victorious at the time of death. Like, you don't understand. Like, he is the leader. He is the role model for us. There's no one better than him. There's no one greater than him in terms of human. But, of course, Allah is the greatest. And third, which is gender roles. But gender roles that were told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and given as, of course, guidance to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to show us, which is following the gender roles, right? What are men? What are women? Follow the Sahaba, follow the Salaf, and follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People like Khalid ibn Walid, people like Umar radiallahu an, people like Ali, people like Uthman radiallahu anhum. I want to follow them because they were the warriors, right? They were the strongest. And for example, Hamza radiallahu anhu, like following them, right? Because these guys are the strongest, right? And these guys were actual masculine people, and we have a glimpse of how they lived their lives as well. So that's very important. For example, gender roles and stuff like that. It makes you realize, right, that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ did so much work and so much things to take care of his family, which helps me with my financial goals because, it really hits home for me, right? That's something that's a priority and something I need to do. And looking at how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, took care of his family and his loved ones, it really makes me feel like, that's what I need to do. Like these self-improvement books, again, they talk about, finance books, they talk about focusing on, of course, they do talk about like providing for a family, but Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was a glimpse of how he did it, and he is the most perfect man, and it makes sense for us to follow him as well. So I hope you did enjoy this video. Hope this actually inspired you to start really focusing more on Islamic goals, and in return these Islamic goals will have more barakah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hopefully inshallah will bless us and this year and for our other goals as well. Islam, we revolve around Islam, our lives revolve around Allah, so putting more focus on Allah will only give us more barakah for the other things in life as well. And to end off this video, Allah only helps those who help themselves first. So show Allah why you need help. Try to please Him and worship Him to the best of your ability, and Allah will be there at all times. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.